What's up guys, Left here for another video, and I'm going to be reacting to Moist Critical's Infinity Castle Demon Slayer reaction. I'm a huge fan of Demon Slayer. If you guys don't know, I purchased Demon Slayer Kingdom Coming Chronicles on all platforms. I have all the manga in my closet, bro. So I'm really interested to hear the public's opinion, because I have my own opinions on what I believe should happen or what creative liberties they could take, because there's a lot of things that I want to get into that I can't. But just know that the manga is not that well versed when it comes to the action. I think the anime makes the action look a lot more clean and polished in comparison to the manga, and the movie definitely exasperates that well.
The new Demon Slayer movie has finally been viewed by me, Charles.
Nice.
I'm a little tardy to the party here. It came out a few days ago, but it's never too late to get this farty sharded, and let me tell you, wow. I think it is a banger. Now,
okay, so I'm just gonna stop and give my opinions at some points, just so it's not like I'm just going through and taking this stuff and nitpicking. But I do think that cinematically the movie is good. Okay, cinematically. I have my gripes with the story, but I'm going to see what he's going to say.
Now, initially, I was a little skeptical on this decision here to take the final arc of Demon Slayer, and instead of just doing seasons, like anime traditionally does, they decided to break it up into movies.
Yes.
This is a pretty different approach to it, and I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it, because I thought this would lead to like short movies where they just kind of speed run all of the content, so it'd be feeling like very underwhelming. Or
see, the thing is though, with Demon Slayer, there's not enough content for you to speed run. If anybody has read the manga, and I will showcase some things, but I'm not going to showcase anything that's spoiler. The manga goes through a lot of these fights really fast. I'm going to be completely honest. The backstory does take up a lot of what the fight actually is, rather than the fight itself, or them standing around talking. So it actually would have been better for them to make it take longer to push the fights, in my personal opinion. Not like make it take longer for them to fight. Make the fights longer and then push the story even harder after that, because there's so much time they actually can work with. I'm not going to lie to you.
Half-baked, whereas a season gives you tons of episodes to build and then feels very satisfying when it gets to the end. I didn't know how this would pan out, but man, they cooked. I really liked Mugen Train, but Infinity Castle blows it out of the water. Not only that, it blows it out of the water and then smacks its little butt cheeks around it. This movie is incredible. Like, I know there's a big meme about Ufotable having, unlimited budget works, that kind of thing, but man, there is like some actual truth to that. I do not know,
like, cinematically
able to deliver this kind of quality for this long. I expected this to be a pretty short film. I knew nothing about the runtime going in.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, that's super crazy. 2 hours and 35 minutes and you knew nothing about that going in, dude. Jeez. Let me see what he's gonna say though.
This movie is over 2 hours long of pretty much non-stop action.
Okay. He needs to stop. That's a fucking lie. That's literally a fucking lie. That's literally a fucking lie. I'm gonna see if he's gonna correct himself, but that's literally a fucking lie, dude.
The only time you have moments to breathe are when they're doing flashbacks to flesh out the character's motivation and backstory.
Okay, see, so that is true, but the thing that he's not pushing is that those flashbacks take a long time. And so you guys will be fighting at Sonic Shadow speeds, and they will literally halt the entire fight just to tell you why a certain character is fighting. That is annoying. It's whiplashy, dude. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and bash it for you.
And now I'm bashful.
But is not non-stop. When the action is there, dude, I will say the action is there. It's there. It's moving. There's a lot of inertia there, dude. I can feel myself pumping up to get the fight going, bro. It's nice. It's nice. But when it stops, it stops. And it stops hard. It's like it falls off a cliff type stop, dude. It's bad. Or not falls off a cliff. It's more like the roller coaster has to go all the way up yet again just to go all the way back down and then go all the way up again. And it does it so much for 2 hours and 35 minutes, dude. It does it all movie.
Which I can already tell some people will definitely have an issue with. I know flashbacks often get a bad rap, especially when they're used like egregiously.
It's not the fact that flashbacks are used poorly. It's the way that they used it in the movie to basically just be like, there's a whole train of information and we're not going to chop it up to where there's action going through and you can also understand the nuance of the character's motivation, because it literally just tells I'm telling you guys, it stops it entirely and it literally just vomits his story or vomits their story or vomits her story onto you, and then they tell you understand why she's fighting now. And it's cool if it was an anime. You get what I'm saying? If it was a seasonal anime, I would find that cool. But I paid for a movie, okay? Mugen Train didn't even have that many flashbacks, okay? Like that, these are the level of flashbacks we're talking about. Compared to Mugen Train, this had like over 100 times the amount of flashbacks and it was double the length of it. Mugen Train had a lot of times where players, or the Slayers, I say players because I'm playing it. The Slayers were they were strategizing, they were formulating, they were figuring out what was going on around them. And yeah, there was that in this movie, but I'm telling you, it was severely spaced out. Severely spaced out, dude.
In this movie, though, I wasn't bothered by it at all.
That's because you didn't know it was 2 hours and 35 minutes. I'm gonna be honest, that alone makes going into it different. I'm gonna be completely honest. If you knew it was 2 hours and 35 minutes and you had an expectation after that, and I'm not saying my expectations were like, oh, they're gonna do X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. It's just 2 hours and 35 minutes. I don't expect like an hour and 45 minutes of that to literally be backstory. That's just me. I really don't expect that much to be dedicated to backstory.
I actually really appreciated the flashbacks. It didn't feel rushed, and it was like a really, needed break in between action.
There is barely any action before a flashback has started, dude. I can't say too much because it's gonna be spoiling. Oh my god, dude. It feels like the action was longer than it actually was, but I'm telling you guys, that junk was not long. That junk was not long. Shinobu fight, she fought for a little bit, then they be yapping, and then they get a flashback. Zenitsu and the brother fight, they be yapping for a second, then they get to clapping, then they have a whole flashback. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it went like a speed run of the anime, of a seasonal anime, but they put it in a movie format. I mean, that if you like it, that's fine. I would have preferred it to actually be a movie. And while it did have cinematic experiences with the action, some of the framework and the camera work, and wow, some of the designs for the Infinity Castle was absolutely insane. I feel like those were easily one of the best parts of the movie. The backstory parts of the movie mixed with the battle parts of the movie really were jarring for me. It was really flip-floppy in terms of tonality, and I just wish they incorporated that speed better.
You got to learn about the characters, what they've gone through, what this fight means to them, like in particular Shinobu versus the upper two, Doma. Or you get Akaza's backstory, which Akaza's backstory is the longest by far.
Yeah, because it's also at the very end, and I'm not going to lie, Akaza's backstory is probably one of the most well done ones. Is it a bit long? Yes, I'm not going to lie. I still was sitting there like, okay, can we hurry this shit up a little bit? But like the way they get it started gets me invested enough for me to be able to sit down and be like, okay, I'll sit down and see what's going down here, because this dude's really strong.
And it is the best. It is probably the best backstory Demon Slayer has shown thus far. I was really surprised by it. I loved it. I thought it was great. But I know some people will kind of roll their eyes at it because there is quite a bit of it. But I really enjoyed it, and I was very pleasantly surprised that they gave this much tender love and care to the characters. Because again, going the movie route, they reduced the amount of time they have to work with to build up these characters.
See, I don't know if you guys recall when Goku and Jiren were fighting. They were still going through Jiren's backstory while also showcasing why that fight was important for the overall meaning of that world.
I'll have to respond in kind. I hope you're not letting that power-up go to your head! It's not possible! I cannot lose! I won't accept defeat! Might makes right, and might alone! Without strength, we have nothing! If I don't win, then all my effort, all I've struggled to achieve, all of it will have been pointless! I'll lose everything just like I did before.
And I was hoping that they would go in this movie and try to take some notes over there and put them in here, where you can have more in-depth anime or movie only scenes, because I'm telling you guys, there's not that many manga scenes, but movie only action scenes. Okay, and then add those with some of the cuts that are in the manga with the key points, not where it loses the identity of the character, you get what I'm saying, but where it enhances it. And then you can also have one piece that also shows the summary of everything that just happened, where it's like a eureka moment. I personally would have preferred something like that, just dropping that in the middle, those little nuggets throughout the movie, and then it all coming up to this, oh my god, this is why this is happening on Akaza's side, while also understanding like the Slayers have to do what the Slayers have to do. And the writing's different, you know, I'm not the writer for it, it's just, you know, something I would have preferred.
And get everything out that they need to make these fights meaningful, because having just flashy fights with no like stakes and no like care about either character is lame. It's underwhelming, and it's a big matter of who gives a fuck. So the fact that they did spend this amount of time crafting that and putting that in here is really nice, and it makes me very optimistic for the next couple of films to wrap up the story. I think this was just a fucking home run. I think this was a grand salami. I think most of you know I wasn't the biggest fan of the Hashira Training Arc that they
I don't know anybody who's going to be a fan of the Hashira Training Arc. That's literally the worst written. The Swordsmith Village and the Hashira Training Arc. Well, the Hashira Training Arc in terms of character is the better ones, but it was so rushed that it was the worst story because of the potential it had that it let go of. You get what I'm saying? But those two chapters, those two arcs, those were not it. Nobody likes those. Not even in the community, man.
Most recently had before this film. But now, after seeing this film, it's clear they just wanted to basically take their time to get you ready for the movie. Doesn't make the season any better in my eyes, but I can now see what they were in the lab concocting, and it really does slap. Obviously, this isn't a movie you can just go into blind without seeing any of the previous Demon Slayer seasons or Mugen Train. This is the final arc. They don't really do anything to bring you up to speed. They pick up right where the last episode left off. I appreciate that. Like, you shouldn't go into a movie like this and expect them to give you, like, a lore recap, you know, a refresher. So it's good that they dove right in and used all 2.5 hours to just go fucking nuts to butts on it. 2.5 hours of content. Like, I really do feel like I got an entire season's worth out of
Yeah,
this
that's what I agree with that. It feels like a season in a movie. Okay, while they enjoy that, and that's cool that they enjoy that, that's fine. I come to a movie for a movie experience. I want a cinematic experience, you know what I'm saying? I want to see something I wouldn't see in the anime. I want to see something I wouldn't see in the season, you know what I'm saying? And as it currently stands, all I got was just higher quality fights. I'm gonna be honest, that's all I got out of that. Higher quality fight, some good camera work in some instances, and some really good abstract designs that you could only get through doing this. You get what I'm saying? I just want more. I just want more, man.
Movie. Like, I actually really kind of like this model now, of instead of doing like...
I think also, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact he hasn't read the manga, because I don't think he has, but let's assume he has and he's forgot. I think that does change opinions a lot. There's a psychology element to it, dude, and the fact he went in blind and he already likes Demon Slayer and there's no previous understanding of what there is to look at or to look for, you get what I'm saying? Like, that it's a totally different crowd entirely. You get what I mean? If you read the manga, you get what I'm talking about, because there's certain things in the manga that they will explain that the show will gloss over, and it makes it seem like it's unimportant. And I'm not saying for this anime specifically, I'm just saying in general for anime. Because that happens, bro, it makes it to where it's worth having the manga just to be able to fact check what is happening, because that is the source material, unless they're doing something specific for their company. Okay, with that being said, dude, I really hope you guys get what I'm talking, because I'm gonna put the pages up on screen. I hope you guys get what I'm talking about with these manga panels, dude. They are really fast, and the anime just goes right through it, 1-to-1. Nothing changes. It's really crazy.
seasons, like maybe there is a lot of potential to just doing like movies to adapt the source material.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I really would not want that. Not everything needs to do that. Not everything needs to do that. No, please don't do that. I would rather have to wait every other week to get something than get something every 2 years, and it may or may not be high quality, dude. I understand where you're coming from, dude, but trust me, that is not it. That's not the play. Certain things need it. I will give you that. Not every anime, bro.
Like, they are proving that the method can work.
It can, but it shouldn't work for everything.
Like, I really did enjoy the way that this was
Okay. Let's say they put Dragon Ball, the whole Tournament of Power as a movie. You know what I'm saying? That would have to be something completely different. It not like, oh, it's gotta be different from the manga. I'm talking the experience of the movie has to be different. You can't just put season 1 of Tournament of Power in a movie format, like just put it as a really long runtime and be like, here you go. Here's the, because that's essentially what this is, just with a bigger budget to make the fights more cinematic and the camera work a bit more polished. Dead ass. So everything, we should just give everything a movie now? Like, that's a bit of a straw man argument, but just think about it, bro. If some things should have movies, I will give you that, but not everything, dude. Not everything. I don't think that's a good launch, knowing how these companies are. I don't feel like that's a good jump, knowing how these companies are. They're gonna find some way to take advantage of it and make you have to go around another way to pay for it, and then it's not gonna even be worth it, dude. I would rather not. I'd rather just get it out every week. We can see if it's worth it that way, rather than just that, dude. I hope I'm making sense, guys.
Anyway, though, the visuals are beautiful. I think if you've watched Demon Slayer, you probably expect top-notch animation. You get it here. They did not cut any corners. Now, of course, Demon Slayer has always used a bit of CG in its animation, but never like the wonky dog shit like Berserk 2016 level CG that people absolutely unanimously spit upon. This integrates it seamlessly, and it looks really good. Infinity Castle does definitely have some CG moments that don't stick out. Like, they look great still. I'm gonna tell you something, sports fans, something I didn't expect to ever say. I actually think their usage of CG here blended in actually elevated some of the scenes that it was present.
Yeah.
Like, one of the most beautiful shots in this film is when platforms are rising, when it's Akaza versus Giyu versus Tanjiro.
Yeah, those are cinematic shots I'm talking about.
Additional platforms rise that pour water out, and it's very clearly like CG usage here with 2D. And it looked incredible.
Yeah.
There are so many sequences.
And it's stuff like that I wanted more of, but they specifically were just going right through. They didn't want to take any extra time doing creative liberties, or maybe they didn't have creative liberties. I don't know. But yeah.
Sequences that use CG that I actually think help bring it to another level. They definitively prove that any anime that uses CG and it sucks ass, like the CG in it, it's their fault. It's not the medium. It's a tool that can be used really well here in anime.
Mm-hmm.
And by golly, I tell you, Demon Slayer does it the best at the moment.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing I want to point out is like a superstar here is the music. Holy
Absolutely.
shit, the music.
That junk had me bumping in there. I'm not gonna lie. He's absolutely right on that. I don't know what was up with my theater, guys. My theater, I'm in Texas. I don't know if people just don't mess with anime in Texas, but my theater was dead, bro. You would have thought everybody came up in there and unanimously passed away while the platforms were rising, dude. The music during the Giyu Akaza fight, when the platforms were rising for the scenes he was just talking about, was one of the best tracks. One of. There are so many. One of the best tracks, dude. My theater, crickets. Oh my god.
Music was so good. Every battle has an absolute boner jam backing it. The intro especially.
Yes, dude, the intro had the best track, dude.
With its music, it almost felt like I was watching like an AMV or something.
Dude, because I think the intro is actually supposed to get you into the actual movie. That, because you gotta think about it, it is Demon Slayer, but it's supposed to present it as a cinematic experience. So this is different. That's why they did it like that, bro.
No, I guess not really like an AMV. It's not edited like that or anything.
Nah. It's edited in a way. It's not over edited like an anime music video. Don't get it twisted, but it's definitely edited like an AMV. There's not just one way to edit AMVs, bro. It is definitely edited like an AMV.
But if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I mean. Now, the story. The story is where a lot of people criticize Demon Slayer for being just very, like, generic and formulaic.
Who is saying that? Who is saying that? I have never heard anybody say that.
And admittedly, yeah, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel.
No, it's not. But I also, like, who is coming to a Demon Slayer movie for the story? Come on now. Who is coming for the story? We're here for the characters. Let's be so for real. Let's dead that right now. Nobody is here for the goddamn story. We're here for the characters. The story died once Rengoku died. I'm not gonna lie. We just want the demons to be done.
By any means, but it plays by the tropes well. Yes, there are moments that are definitely cheesy, but it doesn't detract from the overall experience. And like
It's anime. It's anime, bro. The cheesy scenes are anime scenes, bro. That, if you're gonna call them cheesy, it's because it's anime tropes. What do you want them to do? Because at that point, it's not even the same thing.
Very well. So, like, yes, when it's going through the flashbacks, every character is somehow connected. Like, my big sister was killed by this demon, thus I need to kill.
Okay, no, that's not how they did it like that. That makes it sound like they were actually creatively getting the flashbacks to tie in with each other. That is not how it works. They're all fighting their demons. Wow, when you say it like that, that's actually kind of wow. They're all fighting their demons, and in the middle of fighting their demons, they get a flashback. Like, that's the whole point of Demon Slayer, bro. They're all fighting the demons. They all have their own demon. Like, it's a spiritual thing. It's a soul thing. You know, like how the effects aren't real? It's a soul thing, bro.
Kill this demon. I hate you, demon, for this. And then you'll learn about the demon. It's like, the demon had a troubled past as well. Like, yes, it does play out like that. Like 100% of the time. But it doesn't matter. It's still, like, enjoyable. It's still a... That's literally...
If that bothers you, I don't even know why you're watching Demon Slayer. I'm not gonna lie. That's literally Demon Slayer. That's been Demon Slayer since season 1. What are we talking about right now?
Story, even if it's nothing new per se, I still think it is done well enough that it makes you care. Especially Akaza's backstory. I would argue that was done extremely well. They spent a lot of time on Akaza's backstory.
Okay, see, so he's just preaching to the choir right now. I'm telling y'all, Akaza's was done the best. It feels like everybody else's was kind of rushed or shoehorned in. And because it was that way, it really made me desire more out of how they did the story stuff. If you guys see the movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, then I'm just glad you're able to enjoy the movie the way it is. But if anybody from Ufotable, Aniplex, somebody in the higher up sees my video and understands what the hell I'm talking about, please, dude, please tell somebody. Tell somebody, bro.
Here, which I will say, took a lot of balls to dedicate that amount of screen time to a flashback backstory for the bad guy in a movie. Like, you can do it in a show because, you know, maybe it takes 2 or even 3 episodes in a show, but you'll still have another, like, 10 episodes outside of that, so that way viewers don't feel like it drags or anything in there. To do that in a movie where you have significantly less time to work with and it takes up a larger...
Less time, bro. He had 2 hours and 35 goddamn minutes. Hold on a second, dude. A 12 episode anime is typically 4.5 hours or 5 hours. So they cut down a whole season in 2 hours using 3 characters. And they kind of went over 2 characters really fast. And that's going to be Shinobu and Zenitsu. Giyu, Tanjiro, and Akaza were really the main focus. I think if they had kept that kind of energy on everything, I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more. I'm not going to lie. Because it's literally just half a season, dude. Just with cinematic fights and very detailed graphics. Not to discredit that, but for what the cinematics were, if you've never seen cinematics like this in an anime game or anime show, okay, I'm not gonna sit there and hold you for being like, what are you talking about, Flap? You sound crazy, Flap. But if you have been around the block and you've seen a couple of shows, you've seen a couple of movies, you guys understand what the hell I'm talking about, bro. They could have did more. They could have did more. Okay, they could have did more.
It takes a lot of courage to commit to that, and I think it pays off. Like, I do think it added a lot to this to get all of that information about Akaza. It made everything feel more weighty. So I do like that direction, and I'm hoping they do more of that in the next 2 movies. I imagine they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. Now, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know.
So what did I say earlier, guys? What did I say earlier? What did I say earlier, guys? This is that shit. This is that shit, man. This is that shit. This is that shit. This is that shit, bro. You want to go in, you want to watch a Demon Slayer movie, you don't want to know what's going on with it at all, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. That's great. But then, when we get something and the next movies end up being flop, because nobody understands the manga needs more. I don't want to hear any complaints. None. I don't want to hear nothing. I want to hear you say, oh, they could have did more. I want to hear you say, oh, I could have had more fights. I want to hear shit. Not a damn thing, bro. I want to hear nothing. I promise you, it's over. It's over, bro. It's over. It's over. Because you're having a conversation about Demon Slayer as a movie. I'm having a conversation of the franchise as a movie. Those are 2 different things. Those are 2 different things, bro. You're having a conversation about the anime as a movie. I have played the games. I have read the mangas. I've seen side novels. Like, dude, it's a different conversation. It's a different conversation, dude. And, oh my gosh. I don't know how to bridge the gap. Because if you tell them, hey, the manga is not that good, and you try and tell them that, they're like, okay, well, I wasn't going to read the manga anyway. Okay. The point is, the manga is not that good. They can do more with what they have now because they have all these funds to do everything, but all they're doing is just really detailing out the scenes that we already know. Damn, bro. Oh my god, that's such an epiphany, man. I told y'all, man. My god, bro. And it's like I'm not mad at him for it. It's like if you were more informed on what I am talking about, you could understand a bit more of where my frustration is coming from, on top of what the anime is doing. You get what I'm saying? You'd have more history to be able to see why I'm coming the way I'm coming. But let's see what he has to say.
Like how much content was covered in this film, like how much they adapted here.
Oh jeez.
It felt like I got a ton of content, and it doesn't feel like it was really rushed through all that much. There's a couple instances where a few things were glossed over, I feel, in the interest of saving.
Dude, just feel. You can't feel. You need to know. Bro. You need to know. Feeling is not factual. A feeling is feeling. And even if it was the right fact, you're still going off of feeling. So I can't say you're right or not just off of that. I have to know the fact to be able to say you're right. Like, you only do yourself favors by seeing it. Now, I understand you may be a busy guy considering you got all that stuff, goof juice, you got the statues, you got a whole crane there, God slap, your comic. So I understand you got a lot of things going on, bro. But if you could actually take the time to, dude, just get some of the current mangas or look at it online. I'm not saying start from base 1. You get what I'm saying? Look at what chapter we're on currently and just look at it. Literally just look at it and you'll be able to see if there's any difference. You'll be able to see if there's any changes, if it's 1-to-1, and I'm telling you, you will see that it's 1-to-1. I'm not gonna even hold you. And because of that, you will understand why I feel like it's good that they did certain things, but also it's bad that they stayed so tried and true to what it is we got on screen, bro.
Some time, but they did get like the point across, so it was still fine. But yeah, in the early parts there were a few moments, like in a couple flashbacks, where it was like really quick, like with Doma. But I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. I think overall it really felt like everything did actually take its time, and they weren't afraid to let things sit and linger, like in Akaza's backstory. I really liked the movie. I'm sure you could tell I'm fucking gushing grannies over it right now. I thought Infinity Castle was great. If you like Demon Slayer, I think you're going to be very happy with this film. And I'm really looking forward to the next ones.
So I'm not gonna lie, guys. Between this movie and Mugen Train, I still think Mugen Train is good. Okay? I still think it's pretty good. Now, this movie, Infinity Castle, has a lot of hype moments. You get what I'm saying? I can go to a lot of scenes and be like, oh yeah, I fuck with this. I can go to this scene and be like, oh yeah, I fuck with this. But I wouldn't sit there and play the whole movie all the way through and be satisfied with that. I would play Mugen Train for that. Because that whole movie is super satisfying. Like the plot moves, the pacing, the demon, the plot subversion, like all of that was really good, dude. For this one, there wasn't anything that was new outside of something specific that I'm not showing. You guys will know. Once you watch the movie, you will definitely know. Like, it was beautiful. But outside that, guys, I think if you haven't read the manga, I would at least get up to the part that we are at so you can see the difference, if there is any, and where some people's frustrations comes from. If you don't want to read the manga, then let me know so I can at least talk about the differences, if there is any, from the movie to the manga, and I can just do the work for y'all. Outside of that, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoy Infinity Castle if you guys watch it. And yeah, take it easy.